Hello all, it's me Aki from Bringforth. This is set 42 part 1 and I'd like to discuss voting rights. I've said this before, but I'd like to reiterate that I think voting rights should be a born right, in that you are given the right to say who should be the one who represents you at basically birth. You should, as soon as you are able to communicate anything at all, be able to point at somebody in the political sphere and say, that guy, and that should be the end of the discussion. You should be able to vote at the same time as you are able to be sexually self-responsible as well as criminally self-responsible. And while in theory it would be nice to have this at the lowest age possible, having these three at the same age makes it clear what we're talking about here, that we're talking about the age of responsibility. Now, we need outside opinions, and we need what can only be described as women's right to vote, something that has been historically viewed as the thing that becomes the reforming factor in society. When we get women the right to vote, society becomes more free for everyone because they are members of society. So before we allow foreign immigration to increase the chance of finding new opinions, we should find new opinions with the children that are already in our society. So we should first give rights to children, then rights to tourists, as in people who just visit here and pay for stuff here and then leave, and then we should give rights to immigrants, and then we should give rights to refugees, in that order. So if you are saying that we should give rights to immigrants to vote, you are also saying that we should give rights to people who are children in the society to vote. So we should first give rights to children, then we should give rights to immigrants, and then we should give rights to refugees, and before those we should give rights to tourists. So, and we really and truly need to understand that the first step to finding new opinions that'll give us pause and cause us to think about what we're actually seeing is by giving rights to children. Most children will not vote because it's not in their nature to vote. They don't want an opinion to interfere with their relation with their parents. They don't want an outsider in their discussions with their relatives and parents. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't encourage them. Just because most of the women don't vote in the history doesn't mean that women shouldn't get the right to vote if they want to. So we should lower the age of voting as low as it can go, where we start to feel that it is a burden on the children to vote instead of a free responsibility. And then we should very slowly form a panel that can give you adult status even though you are a child by applying for it. So you need to apply to become an adult. This is called an emancipation trial. So what you need to really understand is that there are already disenfranchised voters here, and they already don't get the right to vote, and they should get the right to vote before we even start discussing other rights for other people, for people who aren't a born member of this society. So first we give rights to children, then we give rights to tourists, because they only visit here and they have all of their needs met from outside and don't really cause much of a disturbance. Then we give rights to immigrants, that's people who want to live here and stay here but don't yet have nationality. And then we give rights to refugees, that's people who live here but don't want to live here, want to live in their home country but are forced to live here, because they are the most likely not to vote in any large numbers. That way, we will slowly franchise our entire society, and we will be in a much better position to have global voting rights for the people who actually need them, instead of people who don't really want to participate in our society in the first place. So eventually, we will be able to have everyone with the right to vote and everyone with the right to determine for themselves what they really feel like about the world. But as they are unable to do so yet, they don't have the education and they don't have the understanding as children as to what they're voting. We need to educate them. We need to make sure that they understand what they're voting about and that it's basically the guy who owns you, that you are basically voting for the person who is supposed to be the guy who owns you. And once that's understood, we should really just take a step back and let these people vote so that they finally get the result that they were hoping for. So after we've franchised these people and give them right to vote, we can start talking about, in this four system order, we can start talking about rights for animals to vote. But this requires some kind of technology towards animal communication that we don't at the moment have. But as soon as we get a reliable animal to human translator, we should have animal rights to vote. No criminal should ever be disenfranchised and removed from his right to vote. That is the very essence of democracy, that we are all criminals according to the government that wasn't voted by us. So we need to protect the rights of criminals because we need to protect our own rights. But beyond that, we need to protect the rights of victims even more. So right now, the most victimized part of our society are the children. They lack almost any say in our political system, and they are near completely overthrown by the law system. So they are essentially slaves, and this will probably be remembered throughout history as one of the darkest periods in our history, when we pretended to be for everyone, but in reality we didn't give the children the right to be in a position of power. So I'm going to record some more of me on YouTube, but that was what I wanted to say. mistakes. Ozymandias, king of kings, look on my work, ye mighty, and despair, for nothing besides remains. Not eligible for vacation. Seriously? You will be eligible for vacation time in 537 days. Seriously? William Wallace's sword returns to the National Wallace Monument after a period in secret storage. Democrats are embarrassing. What is their plan? Hidden Easter eggs of history. Elephant hold grudges. I did. Vacuum decay, the quantum glitch that could destroy the universe. I am aware of that, though it is very unlikely. Finding a new vacuum or a way to have space more empty than anywhere else and releasing it into space would be like picking a needle and poking through a water balloon. It would expand at the speed of light and destroy everything and turn it into a new universe. It would possibly even expand faster than the speed of light. That is because while you would start expanding outward from the bubble at the speed of light, it would destroy matter in such a speed that other matter in the space outside of it would start to expand towards the hole that you generated at the speed of light, making it faster than the speed of light. However, from the point of view of physics, it would still just be the speed of light. That is because the speed of light would actually be basically the speed that you travel at, because you are in the universe. Also, I gotta say this again, and I've said this 100 million times. Einstein never said that nothing can go faster than the speed of light. Einstein said that anything with matter accelerated to the speed of light would have the same mass as the universe. So anything that actually has the same mass as the universe would by definition be the universe, meaning that the universe itself is expanding in every direction faster than the speed of light, making it possible to travel faster than the speed of light if you have no mass, meaning you need negative mass or negative energy or exotic matter to be able to travel faster than the speed of light, because you would be able to accelerate faster than the speed of light because your matter is no longer in the universe. This sounds like science fiction, to have something that is in the universe without being in the universe, but thanks to finding dark energy and dark matter, we actually have the ability to go faster than the speed of light, because we can go through dark energy, something that has an energetic signal and an individuality but no mass, because mass is actually one of those tiny subatomic particles that is actually possible to have removed from a substance while still being in the universe. So in theory, you can actually accelerate to a speed faster than the speed of light, but while you do so, you can be composed of matter that has no mass or matter that has no attraction to the underside or the backside of the universe, or what you would call gravity. So you need something that is composed of matter that has no gravity signature or has no thing that attracts gravity. To do so, you would need to recombine your entire body to remove all the quarks that are the same way, or the smallest or one of the smallest subatomic particles that resonates with gravity. So you would actually be able to go faster than gravity. So if you project a thought form or something that is made completely of energy to the universe and have it move, you can actually go faster than the speed of light. This is something that you really need to explain over these years many times, that it is possible to go faster than the speed of light, because the speed of light is only the limit at which you can go if you accelerate from inside the universe to the speed of light. You cannot with mass actually go faster than that, because if you do go at the speed of light inside the universe, you will be everywhere in the universe. So you can actually be everywhere and at all times, and thus you can actually warp to a point in the location that you're going to that is actually before you left. You gotta understand this. That's what the Warhammer sci-fi is telling you, that you can actually go faster than light, because once you go to light speed, you will be everywhere and in all times, because you will be in the singularity at the before time, at the Big Bang, and you can from that actually decide where you will be in the universe after you come back, and you can actually arrive before you left. That's something you really need to understand, that you can arrive before you left if you go faster than light. The technology to do so will be available in the future. My friend, the end. Seeing this trailer, it's one of the Starks being a superwoman. This is the end, my friend, the end. It's been a long time getting from there to here. I eyeballed it. Sully movie clip. It's the canon, you can do it. Motor oil. Yes. I eyeballed it. Yes. Owner can't take criticism on burger. god, that looks awful. Wow, messages love from a Finnish patriot. Hashtag walkaway. I need to tell you my own walkaway story. I was something of a wunderkind for the left. I was one of those kids who publishes articles on journals and writes for the leftist newspapers and talks about citizen wage. You know, one of the wunderkind. And I decided that I need to learn more about what the right does and I need to understand them better. So I signed up for the right-wing nationalist party or the National Liberal Party, depending on how you want to view it. And I campaigned for parliament from a national liberal standpoint, meaning that the nation comes first, but everything that can be made to be legal should be made to be legal. The government should be removed from people's affairs as far as possible. You can't always do it, and you need things like universal healthcare and universal education because they're a lot cheaper than doing it privately. But whenever it is possible, government should be out of people's affairs, and that was their platform, the Nationalist Liberal Party, so I decided that I'd join them. And all of the people that I worked with in all of the studio and the writing areas, or so the journalists, every single one of them stopped talking with me. Every single one of them. They didn't even answer their phones when I called them. And this was from campaigning on a legal party. I wasn't joining the far-right group and hiding in a bush and killing all the immigrants. I was campaigning to parliament and just... Can you imagine? I was campaigning for parliament in the same country, and I used to be their wunderkind, and they didn't even publish the fact that I was being a candidate. They completely blackballed me. They wouldn't even talk to me. And this is from people who's supposed to be my allies. And I didn't even say that I would be there forever. I said that I would campaign for them at least once, because I felt like I had to learn from them. And these people were so bad. They were just so incredibly evil. As soon as I joined another party, they completely blackballed me. So now I'm a right-wing person. I think that conservatives in general understand that you need opposing opinions, and Democrats in general don't believe that you need opposing opinions. They don't understand that you need mirrors because they've never had power. Everyone who's ever been in power actually and really believes that you need mirrors. You need people who actually hate you in politics and in power, because if you don't have those people in power and in politics, you are losing a key component of yourself. You are missing key truths about yourself. So you need people who actually disagree with you to be in power, and you need groups who actually disagree with you to be in power. Otherwise you will start to make simple mistakes that could have been easily corrected had there been any kind of opposition to you. So as soon as I campaigned, even once, for a right-wing party, all of my left-wing friends stopped talking with me, every single one of them. And I gotta stress this, as soon as I got out of politics, most of these people were still my friends, and as soon as I started doing drugs heavily and started leaning back towards the left mindset, almost none of these people abandoned me. There were a few who couldn't stand to be around me because I was now a drug addict, but most of these people were very, very open to be around me, so they still remained my friends. So this is something I really gotta stress. I don't know what else to say. I was stumped by how evil these people were, how easily they turned on you. So that's all. Have a cup of joe. The milk's 10 days old. That laxative power, man. And I gotta say, Trump has been doing a good job recording what he was elected to do. He was elected to boost the economy, and he's been doing a good GDP. He he wasn't elected to have a lot of treaties and to be internationally liked and to support the environment. He was elected just to have a good economic rating to prove that it can be done, and he's had a good economic rating. Ow. Not going to watch the Finnish guy's walkaway story. Somehow I don't feel like it. How psychedelics reveal how little we know about anything. Jordan Peterson, London Real. 1984 was not supposed to be a instructional. Man in a Corvette loses police on chase in Dayton Beach. Pretty good driver. That's not him running, he threw a bag. Looked like he hid in a front yard or something. Good driver. Clean getaway. What if there was no poop there? This US sub launched an attack on a Japanese train. What? What? This is World War II. Uh-huh. The mystery of the oh my god particle. Message to offended Muslims. I gotta say this. Anonymous sources should never be used to confront government officials directly. Anonymous sources should be used to find sources who don't want to be anonymous that are used to confront government sources. Anonymous sources throughout history are used as sources to find the news, not news themselves. So people who protect anonymous sources these days and say that their article is based on anonymous sources are liars. It is very clear they are liars. Anonymous sources are meant to find the news, and once you have the news and it's no longer an anonymous source, then you confront the government. You don't confront the government with the anonymous source. That means nothing. This is one of those things in my government panel, or whatever you want to call it, that I've had some time to actually think about well enough to know that this is the case. You never attack a government with anonymous sources itself. This is basically cowardice. You don't give them the right to attack you back. You need a voiced source that you find with the anonymous source. I gotta say this, the reason I don't ban Islam or Judaism in this country, even though they are fighting amongst themselves and are dragging us into it, is that the Islamic community in Finland came to Finland with the Tartar people, or the Tatar people, or however they're pronounced, in the 19th and 18th century. So they've been here for 200 or 300 years, and they are remarkably good citizens. Their crime rate is lower than the average population, and they pay more taxes and so on. And the Jewish population is the same. They've been here for hundreds of years. And even when we were aligned with Hitler, we weren't fully allied with them, but we were aligned with them. And we fought against the Soviet powers on the Axis side of things and so on. We refused to give over Jews to the German concentration camps, and the Jews actually fought for us. There are cases of Jews fighting in the Finnish army against the Soviets and being awarded Iron Crosses and refusing them. You have to understand what kind of a country this is. The Jews fought for this country when we were aligned with Hitler and were given commendations from the German High Command that they refused to get because they weren't fighting for money or honor, they were fighting for this country. So neither of these groups are going to be banned. They are doing well in this country. But the modern sensitivity towards Islam will be banned. We will be scrapping it. We don't respect it. And this is a good point to go take a piss. Take a piss, take a piss. Oh, I need a bowl in my room. So I gotta say that from my point of view, if we talk about space lizards and space people and people who are not from this planet and so on, you have to understand that these lizard people, or whatever you want to call them, live in the physical center of their brain. They do everything to be physically superior because that's the brain at that level. So when I say lizard people, you gotta understand, I don't mean people with lizard skin and scales and like slitted eyes and like sharp teeth. I mean people who live in the physical center of their brain. They don't believe in anything spiritual because individuals might, but the community doesn't. And they don't believe in, I suppose you could say, good, because that's not in their brain. They believe in good for themselves. And these people are alien to the majority of humanity. They live in a different world. So when I talk about space lizards, you gotta understand I don't actually mean lizards. I mean people like Arnold Schwarzenegger who live in their own space and are like a lizard because everything about them is perfectly carved for their role. It's like a person living in the lizard center of their brain. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't actual space lizards on this planet, but I don't know. I don't have the ability to say that there are space lizards or there aren't space lizards. It's not a topic where I know enough. But to me, the human race is divided into different kinds of people who believe different things, and these different groups can be identified by how they live in the brain, where their center of consciousness in the brain is. Some people live at the very top of the brain and are like saints and have like halos, and some people live in the lizard part of the brain, which is back here, and they are like carved physical specimens of perfection, while the people who live in the charity part of perhaps the higher self of the brain have a very weak body but have immense mental abilities. These are not really aliens in the sense that they live on the moon or live on Mars or whatever, but they are aliens to the majority of people who just live in their own self, who just want to be good people. So these people are not lizards in the sense that they have scales and sharp teeth, but lizards in the sense that they care about themselves first, that their ego is the defining aspect of who they are. This is not the case for majority of humanity, because majority of humanity, however much you might hate it, believes in good. They believe that there is an ulterior good above them, or a good being that is God or whatever. Those are the majority of the people. They believe in that. The people who believe themselves to be the arbitrators of their own life and believe in their own ego perhaps are a minority. They are the lizard people. This is something I really need to stress. I have to say that the most offensive thing about Islam in our community that I've come across is we used to have this tradition of making these concrete pigs that we put in traffic in places where the traffic had to slow down, so they would have to go around the pig and where you couldn't actually drive and so on. They were concrete pigs. And they had to be changed to turtles because pigs offended the Muslims. This to me is the worst that I've had from the Islamic community, because you understand that they change local traditions to fit themselves in a way that harms the local economy and removes local history. So it's like going to the Islamic community and demanding that the minarets are quiet because it offends you. To me, this wasn't a voluntary thing, and a lot of people opposed it, but we did it in the history of cultural, in the spirit of cultural exchange. But to me, this was an invasive art procedure. It was unwelcome. It removed something that was pretty and replaced it with something that's not even completely local, a turtle, while a pig is completely local. Islam's got some nice music though. I gotta stress that every time I criticize Islam, I have the same amount of criticism for Christianity. I just gotta stress that one so the Christians don't think that I'm on their side, because I'm not. You guys really need to take a chill pill. Moving on. So yeah, that's my opinions for the day. Sully movie clip on the Hudson.